Hello. Hi, everybody. Yeah, clap it up. Give yourselves a hand for being here. Fantastic. Yes. My name is Rebecca Stummy. I'm the senior producer of live programming events here at LAist, and I'm so happy to see you all here at the Crawford for our first event with the new series called Cookbook Live. We're doing this in partnership with the James Beard Foundation, who have been an absolute, yes, give it up. Thank you. They're an absolute dream partner, and we are so happy to be working with them on this event series. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them right now. The James Beard Foundation believes in a vibrant, equitable, and sustainable independent restaurant industry that stands as a cornerstone of American culture, economy, and community, and drives towards a better food system. We lead chefs and the broader culinary industry towards a new standard of excellence. We call this good food for good. That's pretty great. I like that. And on July 29th, the James Beard Foundation is going to kick off its national tour right here in Los Angeles. It's called Taste America. It's going to be a walk-around event at the Line Hotel featuring LA Taste 20 chefs from 19 other cities. You can get tickets at jamesbeard.org. I went last year. It is such fun. Please check it out. And I also want to say thank you to Graza for providing those olive oil samples that hopefully you all got. Yes. If you didn't get it, grab one on your way out. And then also give a huge shout out to Ferrazani's. Leah Ferrazani was here providing delicious treats. Yes. Please go support her and all the other businesses around Altadena and in Pasadena. They need your support. Please get out there and eat delicious things from them. It's a really, I know it's a burden, but I believe you can do it. Thank you for that. All right. Your host for this evening is our wonderful food and culture writer, Gab Chabrán, and he is going to be in conversation with the wonderful Nicole Rucker from Fat and Flour. So please give it up for Gab and Nicole.
You going this way?
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, here we are back again here.
I
Why
know,
don't you
yeah,
come over
let's
on this
trade
side?
places.
Sorry. You're in the driver's seat.
I'm going to take a pic of all these people here.
Oh, yeah.
Look at, I never do this, and then I see other people do this, and I'm like, dang, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, say cheese, everybody. You look great.
Yay.
Yay. That was not very energetic, but
Yeah,
we'll
guys.
fix it.
They're doing their best.
Let's fix our attitudes. We're making brownies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, where do we start?
Okay, so I have a new cookbook out, and that's the point of all this. And I've released my very special secret brownie recipe, which a lot of people have asked for over the years, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
But the first step to making brownies, I think like one of the things, there's a couple secret tips in this brownie recipe, but like, you know, the first step is always melting the butter. I'll be honest with you, if we were at home, I would melt this in the microwave.
Okay. All right.
And then we wouldn't have to worry about it. But then we have to melt the chocolate. So our very secret special brownie recipe is a blend of kind of like all the different vibes that brownies can contain. A lot of people like to do only cocoa powder. A lot of people like to do only chocolate. I like to do a combination of all the elements of chocolate.
Yeah.
Cocoa powder, 100% chocolate, and sweetened chocolate.
Would you say that's what makes this brownie recipe so special and so unique?
I think it's what makes it really like fudgy and delicious.
Okay.
I think the unique element is coming later. It's the thing that everyone's kind of stuck on, which is the flour that I use.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's like
Gotcha.
the big talking
Okay.
point so far is that I use bread flour, and everyone's like, why?
Ooh.
We'll talk about
Okay.
it later. But right now we're gonna do chocolate. So we're doing like a 72% chocolate, and then we do like a baker's 100%. I think all of these things are important for making like the ultimate chocolate flavor, and also the chocolatiest texture. So you have like a chewy edge and a fudgy middle.
And
like,
this is all dark chocolate we're using?
yeah,
Is
we're
that-
using
okay.
dark chocolate, but
Okay.
it's a good question because in the book I also have a milk chocolate brownie recipe and a white chocolate brownie recipe that's not a blondie, and we can argue about that.
Sure. I look forward to doing that later.
I know you love to argue about stuff.
Yes, exactly. Let's not get started on lettuce
No, we're
lettuce
not.
on sandwiches.
Oh my
right?
God, lettuce on sandwiches.
I'm a fan.
I like
okay?
lettuce
Some
on
people
sandwiches in the appropriate ratio.
Right.
This is not a sandwich
Yeah.
demo, though.
No. Sorry.
Maybe
you're right.
it should
you're
be.
Right.
That would be fun. A sandwich demo?
I mean, if you want to write a cookbook about sandwiches, you do make some delicious sandwiches.
Oh, thank you.
I've had them before.
Thank you.
So, but tell me, like, okay, so we're using dark chocolate for this recipe.
Yeah.
And so why did you decide to go with that? What does the dark chocolate do in this context for this specific recipe?
Well, okay, so dark chocolate means that it has more of the like cocoa solids in it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to white chocolate, it has no cocoa solids. So like all the colors of the rainbow in between. The darkest of dark chocolate, which is 100%, is like very hard and as little of the other stuff as possible and no sugar.
Right.
And so we use that for like the rich depth of flavor that I think should be in the background, almost like coffee.
Yeah,
It just has a depth of flavor.
it's giving off that aroma a little
Yeah, it
bit.
does,
Can
right?
you guys smell it? I'm smelling it up here for sure, definitely.
And then we use 72% chocolate for the sweetness, and that like familiar 72% is the good medium level of chocolate that's like chocolate chip-ish, like a good chocolate bar. That's a nice little layer of chocolate that makes it taste like, a chocolate bar, edible and delicious. Because
Right.
100% by itself is very bitter,
Yeah,
but also very fruity.
sure, definitely.
So we got to make sure that all the chocolate melts. And like I said, at my house, I would 100% do this in the microwave.
Right.
Do you see how gnats come when chocolate's out?
Yeah, why do you think?
You're
You're going to tell me
dude,
why,
they
aren't you?
love chocolate.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing. I feel like if you want to trap gnats at your house, you could put like a little chocolate
Okay.
in a
all
bowl.
right.
Don't waste any fruit. They love it so much.
Okay. I
Put a
always thought
chunk
it was
of
like the apple cider vinegar or whatever.
Yeah, totally. But then you have smelly apple cider vinegar out on your counter.
Yeah. Well,
They are so attracted to cocoa powder.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Well, maybe you have an idea on your hands.
You
some
tried chocolate.
bug spray.
Oh, that's so gross.
I'd buy it. Fat and flour
That
chocolate
could
bug
be
spray.
interesting.
It's a whole
okay,
nother
look,
line of domestics you can
We
get
have.
into.
I don't have the energy for that.
Oh, okay.
God, that sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like so much work. I really don't want to work that hard.
Okay. All right.
Running 2 bakeries is enough.
That's true. That's
and
true.
writing a cookbook.
Yeah. And being up here with me too. Don't
Yeah,
forget that part.
and being a local celebrity.
There you go.
Okay, so now we have this fully melted. So that's like the key point is that you want to melt all that chocolate. It should be like smooth, liquid.
It's velvety soft, like.
It's hot velvet,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
sure.
Let's move that out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
That's what they used to call me in college.
Hot velvet?
Yeah.
oh my God.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's interest. That's definitely not what they called me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have some eggs. We're popping them in here. It actually looks like maybe when I was backstage frantically late and measing stuff out, I blacked out and forgot the egg yolk that's supposed to go in because there's only 4, but there's 4 eggs plus 1 egg yolk, but we're
Okay.
not going to bake this, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But follow the recipe at your house.
Yeah, and we'll be good. And
You'll
then
be
you
fine.
put 2 different kinds of sugar, right?
There's brown sugar and there's white sugar.
Okay.
Brown sugar is for caramelized flavor and chewiness.
Okay.
You're not going to use that. You're going to use this.
Oh, excuse me. All right.
White sugar is definitely for sweetness,
Okay.
but also it helps things spread.
Am I just going
Yeah,
pedal
low,
to the metal? Oh,
low.
okay. All right.
So
All right.
one of the things about making perfect brownies is that for years people chased the flaky, beautiful, shiny top on a brownie. And everyone had like a different theory about how that happened. It was like a chocolate ratio, it was a sugar ratio. I mean, like we had scientists on the case. And then I think America's Test Kitchen figured out that you have to really whisk the eggs in the recipe with the sugar to start to break it down. And that's actually what makes that shiny, papery layer on the surface.
Okay.
But you definitely don't want to whisk it too much because
Okay.
that would create too much air, and too much air will make them dry, and then you won't have that.
I feel like I've
No, you're
been in
good.
there.
Turn it
brother.
down now.
Okay.
You're done.
Are we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
see how it's light and creamy?
Okay.
It's
See?
like 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks nice and light and creamy.
It does.
Yeah. You want to put those beaters in one of those bowls?
Sure.
'Kay.
Let me make sure I know how to do this.
Actually, wait, I lied.
Oh.
No, put them in there. We'll use the other ones.
Okay,
Here.
okay.
Okay, so we have our melted chocolate.
Okay.
And we're going to dump it into here.
Okay.
And we're going to whisk this together.
I know what I was going to ask you.
What were
Have
you
you
gonna
always
ask?
been a chocolate person?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
At my house, we would get seized candy
Okay.
around Christmas,
Yeah. A
which I
beloved
loved.
California brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Seas.
Yeah.
And my family only ate the milk chocolates, and I ate all the dark chocolates.
Okay.
As well as like sticks of butter under the table sometimes.
That's got to be in one of the books somewhere, right?
That's
I'm
why my
assuming.
skin is still so good, you know?
Radiant. Yeah.
Yeah, youthful.
Yeah.
So we're going to whisk this together. An important element in this is that you really want to make sure that it's homogeneous. Like right now, it's all streaky. You
I'm
see
a
that?
little self-conscious whisking in front of you.
Why? That's.
Because you're such
It's
a
okay.
pro, you know?
I mean, I use a machine.
I'm just a journalist. No, I know.
You're just a journalist. You're
Yeah.
making brownies from now on. That looks good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
No,
I
you're
appreciate
doing
the
great. You're doing
encouragement.
all right. That's all right.
All right,
You're
all right.
hired.
All right.
How much is your hourly wage is the question.
Too much.
I bet.
Yeah.
That public radio salary.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm getting a workout
done.
too. Okay, we're good?
Just,
All right.
you know what? It's not enough of a workout. I just want everyone to stop with that line of rhetoric. Like, oh, I got an arm workout. Like, that's
Yeah.
not enough.
Okay.
You still have to lift weights
Okay.
and
all right.
do some cardio. We all do.
Definitely.
Not enough.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just said it because my arm was starting to hurt.
I
but-
see, that means you need to lift more
Yeah,
weights
that's
is what
true.
that means.
That's true. I'm going to start right now.
Yeah, just
okay?
lift that.
Let's do this. All right.
Do some push-ups
Okay,
while
so-
your oven heats up.
That was, there you go. That was vanilla?
I added some vanilla in.
Okay.
Delicious. Smelled
Okay.
really good.
It did.
Now, we have
And that was pure vanilla, not vanilla extract.
that
I'm
was
assuming.
vanilla extract.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
there's nothing wrong with vanilla extract.
Okay.
Here's my stance on vanilla. It's very expensive, rare, hard to grow, comes from an orchid, rife with slave practice.
Yeah.
You should treat it like a luxury item.
Okay.
So vanilla extract is a good way to use the entire vanilla.
Okay.
When you're making something like vanilla ice cream at your house, use a vanilla bean. That's when you can see the flecks and it shows up.
Right.
If you're going to make something like cookies or brownies, or you're sweetening whipped cream or flavoring whipped cream, if you're not really going to see the flecks, you shouldn't use a vanilla bean. You're kind of wasting it.
Okay. All right.
So I like vanilla extract.
Okay.
It's
That's
also
good to know.
It's like you can get it without alcohol if you don't like that.
Right.
You know, like
right.
just it's good. It's a good product. I
Yeah.
don't think it's any less as long as it's real.
And sometimes it's a little less expensive, right, than buying a bean.
As
right?
it should
a
be.
whole bean, right?
Of course. Yeah, whole beans are so expensive.
Yeah.
They literally grow off of an orchid.
Yeah. That's
I know,
crazy.
right? And they're like ugly green beans that grow off of an orchid that some guy was like, what if we just ferment these? And then they smell like the most luxurious fragrance in the world. How did we even get to that? It's like, that's wild, right?
Yeah, that feels like a documentary or
It-
a New
I'm
Yorker
sure-
piece or something.
I'm sure it was.
What are we doing now, Nicole Rucker?
I mixed the salt was already in there with flour and the cocoa powder.
And this
I
is-
love cocoa powder.
and this is the bread flour.
Yeah, this is bread flour,
Okay.
and this is Dutched cocoa.
Okay.
In the book, there's an entire section on cocoa and Dutched cocoa and natural cocoa. In a recipe like a brownie, you could use either natural or Dutched because it doesn't require a chemical reaction. There's no baking soda, there's no baking powder in here. But if you're making a recipe that specifically calls for natural cocoa, you have to use natural cocoa because
Yeah.
natural cocoa is acidic. Dutched cocoa has the acid kind of tempered in it, which makes it darker in color and richer in flavor, which is why we get that dark chocolate look to it.
This is always my favorite part, where like
wanna do
it
that?
sort of like takes like
You do that.
the ashy like kind of color to it.
We're adding chocolate chips in for texture.
Okay, so let's talk about that bread flour now. What do we?
So when you're making a recipe like this, which is not as much flour as like a regular cake would be, everybody has different feelings about what textures brownies should be. I think brownies are the only cake where it's acceptable to have like 3 to 4 textures in one pan when you think about it, because you have chewy on the outside, you have chewy plus a little cakey towards the edge, then you have super fudgy middle. But at your house, everyone just makes them cakey, typically.
Yeah.
The secret in a bakery is that we never make our brownies the same day that we eat them. They're made maybe 7 days before.
Okay.
Because we chill them in the fridge so that we can cut them nicely and they come out perfect every time. And so they kind of get cured in the cooler. Yeah. So when you cure them that way in the fridge, you get that like naturally fudgy plus chewy texture because everything kind of sits together. But at your house, you're only getting that like cakey fudgy texture unless you use a higher protein flour, which would give you the chew. It's chew insurance.
So when you say cured, like what are you referring to specifically as far as that goes?
It's just it's in the fridge.
Okay.
And it's just sitting there in the cold, kind of like maturing and getting better. And then once it comes out, it's a completely different texture than when you put it in.
Okay.
Because all the
it's
flour...
not fermenting or anything like that.
No, it's not curing like that.
Yeah,
it's not fermenting. I mean, if you left it long enough, I'm sure.
Sure.
But there's not that much water in it. You kind of need water for that, right?
That's true. Yeah.
You want to try it at your house or what?
I mean, maybe.
Somebody can make
I
brownie.
read a lot about sourdough, so...
Call Noma. Let's make brownie vinegar.
There we go. And that'll probably work for the bug spray. See? I told you.
It actually could.
See?
That's a good idea.
Look, we'll split it 50-50.
Oh my God.
Okay.
That would be so interesting smelling. Okay, we're putting it in. It's nice.
I think it would smell good.
I don't know.
I think you could market it.
Yeah, because fermentation it notoriously smells good.
Have you smelled some of those candles at TJ Maxx? You know, I mean, I think we can make it
That's
happen,
not fermentation.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just talking about
sprayed
smells.
Okay, let's talk about something important.
Okay.
This pan is called a quarter sheet tray. You can find it online or you can find it at any restaurant supply store. I think it's the best. It's what is widely used in a commercial capacity. You're at your house and you're like, I don't have that pan, so use another pan.
Okay.
It's fine. Everything bakes kind of differently, so you might have to bake it a little bit longer or a little bit less. If you have a darker colored pan, you're going to bake it a little bit less. I like the light color of it. It's durable. I sprayed it with some avocado oil and I put parchment inside so it doesn't stick. We cannot do this here because we'll break this table. But before you put it in the oven, you like smack the pan on the counter.
Okay.
Because this is very thick batter and it'll have some pockets in it.
Okay.
So we want to like get those out and then we bake it.
Okay.
And then we have brownies.
Before we get to, tell me about these beautiful little like brush strokes you did on these.
I just made it, smoothed it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can see that once it bakes. You could write something.
Okay.
It might show up later.
LAist or something like that.
Oh, you want to? That's
Yeah,
cute. What a good
yeah.
idea. We're not going to bake this, so
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
that's
you're handy
cute.
with that.
There we go. Look,
That's
kind of.
cool.
You can kind of see it.
I like it.
That'll fade. Yay, LAist. Maybe I
Yeah.
should have said James Beard though. They're paying.
James Beard. We put JBF plus heart.
I wonder what James Beard's favorite brownie recipe was.
Ooh, that's a good
Or
question.
we should have looked that up.
Yeah, we should have. Stay tuned. We'll find that out. So.
So then we would put this in the oven and we would bake it. I bake it at 375. A lot of people like to write me emails about that.
Too high or too low?
I think 375 is a great temperature for baking.
Yeah, but what are the
They
want to
bake stuff at 325.
Oh.
They're scared.
Okay.
I like to bake it higher for less time. It gets the right consistency outside and inside. 375. If you have a convection fan, I would turn it down to 355 in your oven. I have a convection at home, so I baked at 355, and I did 10 minutes, and then I rotated the pan, and then I baked it an additional 15 minutes. It was absolutely perfect, and that's the brownies that we have there. And then I let them cool to near room temperature, and then I put them in my fridge for half an hour. Not required, but it makes the cuts a lot cleaner if you chill it.
And so to go back to the temperature thing really quickly, why that specific temperature? Why higher instead of lower?
Because you start the baking like right away. This is also warm.
Mm-hmm.
Like this batter has warm butter in it, right? So it's not like we have to wait for something to come to temperature and then start baking. So we put it in the oven. The oven is preheated. This is nice and warm, and it just starts baking right away.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't want it to bake too long because then anything can dry out.
Right. And that's the one thing we want to try to stay away from, obviously.
I mean, unless you're really like dry stuff.
Yeah. Chalky brownies.
And if you do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's probably not, there's too much fat in it. It's not going to get dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might get real crispy at the edge.
And do these have a name or anything?
These are called dark chocolate brownies.
Dark chocolate brownies.
Yeah.
Okay. Dark chocolate brownies, everybody.
There might be some variation of dark chocolate brownies in some of the bags that you got because we use the base for dark chocolate brownies with lots of stuff. We make it with butterscotch chips and butterscotch chunks, and then we sometimes make it gluten-free and swap out gluten-free flour, and we put pecans and we put marshmallows in it. That's a magical combination. We sometimes put dulce de leche in the top and swirl it around, and the base stays the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this recipe pretty similar to the white chocolate and the milk chocolate recipes? You know, in terms of like the temp and all that? Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same process no matter which chocolate you use. Slightly different ratios because of the fat contents of white and milk chocolate.
Got it.
Yeah, but it's pretty similar.
Okay.
Brownies are easy to make,
Okay.
right? That was pretty easy.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just have to not mess them up when you bake it.
Well, we'll see. But
It's not going to bake. It's going to go,
yeah.
unless somebody wants to take it. Or eat it.
I mean,
That's fine.
yeah, I'm okay right now. But
We already talked about all the oysters you eat.
we
so
did.
Playing
we
with
did.
fire.
Yeah. So, okay.
'Kay.
Well, would you like to move
Yeah,
on
let's
to this
talk
little
about
seated?
books.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Sounds
like
good.
that. Oh, you're on that side? That's where you're looking.
That's me. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fine.
Okay.
These are for me.
Yes, those are for you.
Does anyone want to eat one? You should eat them.
Yeah.
Be nice. Cut them. Pull them in half, and then you can have more of them. You're the designated halfer.
Yeah. It's your responsibility, sir.
COVID, what? We're just gonna use our fingers.
It's fine. We're
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
'Kay.
So I think that myself, when I first looked at the digital copy of this book that you sent me, I was surprised by, I think, the opening line, or maybe the second line,
It is the opening line.
where you were like, I fell out of love with baking.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Nicole Rucker,
Yeah.
best baker I know, fell out of love with baking.
Everyone
So,
can get depresso.
yeah. So tell me, but that's kind of how you came to this subject for this book,
It is, yes.
Tell me about that process a little bit.
So in 2018, I opened a restaurant on Fairfax called Fiona with one of my best friends, and it failed like 9 months later, and we closed it. And that was the first time I had ever done anything like that, like had experienced like that level of failure where there's like money on the line, a lot of money on the line, in the form of investors.
Right.
My first book had come out, and then COVID happened, and like I had no job. And then I was like, oh, I'll start another business at Grand Central Market because COVID was only going to last for 2 weeks.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not sign a lease?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. In a
So,
large public place.
man, it was great. So, that was just like a roller coaster. And everybody was at home. And I know everyone was like, what are we doing? This is futile. What is joy? What is my job? Do I even need to be around people? Like, what's going on? And everyone was going on these roller coasters. And then you guys were all making banana bread at your house. And you were making sourdough. Yeah.
I did.
I know
I
you
was
did.
buying a lot of sourdough more
Oh,
than
good.
anything.
That's good that
Yeah.
you bought sourdough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All the bakers, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those times where I just was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore, but I just signed this lease and I don't like it. And when we did go back to work, we closed and opened and closed and opened. When we did actually go back, it felt really dangerous because I had employees who were also friends. And it was like, am I going to get them sick and they're going to die if we're making cookies in the same room because the room is small? Like,
Right.
everything felt very dangerous. And so it just all felt like really like serious.
Yeah, real heavy.
And it was like, we're just making cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we
Right.
need to be doing this? And I just didn't like it anymore. I didn't like it anymore. And I did a lot of things at home to try and like get myself out of that mood. I started The Artist's Way. I completed the first chapter. I left it with my journal not finished in the bottom drawer. I taught myself how to marble paper, which is surely a lucrative job for me. But that's the paper that I marbled right there in the front of the book. I did that at my house. Drew, painted, cried about stuff.
Sure.
And then, like, I don't know how to do that many things for money. So I was still baking, but I really had to figure out a way to, like, do some things better and with less manpower. And so we started experimenting with making pie dough in the mixer instead of on the table, and doing reverse creaming for the cookies so that one person could do it in this big old bowl, which is like 60 quarts, like a human fits inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like streamline things and make it more sustainable. And those things kind of made me discover like, okay, we've been doing baking this one way, which is very manpower heavy for so many years, but like, are there ways we can do shortcuts or make it easier without compromising the quality? And I just got really interested in that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of already led into my next question, but I guess, what was the experience like? My next question is, how did you choose these recipes, obviously, but like maybe the more interesting question is, what was that process like of, trying to figure out those shortcuts, making these recipes, dare I say, more approachable, something along those lines, in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of it was that I had worked so many years in this industry in a very artisanal way. I'm working at, restaurants known for using the best of the best and doing things the slow way. And, but then like after work, we would go to the McDonald's drive-thru and like microwave cup of noodles and like,
Right.
like
That's a real thing. With
that's
a lot
a
of
very
chefs,
real thing. Yeah, and you're kind of like living in two different worlds.
Yeah.
And so, but then you like are nostalgic for these easy, simple treats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started Fat and Flour, I knew I was going to make these like simple things, like cookies, which everybody loves cookies, and we still use great butter and great chocolate and great sugar and all that stuff. But there just I just kind of like, it sounds very existential. It was like ego death. Because why am I making pie dough by hand in the middle of summer, like struggling so hard? I have to make like 50 pounds of pie dough on a table, and it's like 90 degrees in the basement of Grand Central Market. I'm like sweating. There's flour all over my arms. And I'm trying to train someone to make this artisanal product when like there's this mixer right next to me that would do it in 4 minutes.
Right.
But we do it the artisanal way.
Right.
That's ego, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, what? I mean, I literally, I just at home was like, I can't do it like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really one of the first ones was making the pie dough in the mixer, and took 4 minutes. And then you pour the liquid in and you're like, done. And you still have to laminate it on a sheeter, and we have to bake it well, and we have to put good stuff inside it. But it freed up so many hours and also so much like physical space because we didn't have to like work,
Right.
And then when we started changing the cookies around, when you make cookies in an industrial way, which is what we're doing at a bakery, you're creaming 10 pounds of butter and pounds of sugar. And someone has to stick their entire arm into that butter, by the way.
Yeah.
And maybe they plastic wrapped it, maybe not. But you stick your whole arm in there to make sure that you scrape the bowl just like you do at your house, only you're doing it with pounds and pounds, right? And the spatulas are made to be cleanable, so sometimes the head of the spatula suctions off into the butter, and then you have to fish it out. and clean it and put it back on. And it's a joke to me. That process is like, that's so silly. Right? To make like a $4 cookie. It just seems like, what? That's crazy. So when you do it, when we tried reverse creaming, which is what we have named the cold butter method in the book, you just put all the dry ingredients and cold butter in the mixer like we were making pie dough, and you mix it up, and then you add the eggs and you add the vanilla and the add-ins. And at a certain point, it turns into cookie dough. You get to the same point, but nobody had to like stick their whole body into the stuff.
Right.
Which to me is a win.
Definitely.
Yeah. Also,
Definitely.
creaming butter during the summer is hard because the butter is softer naturally at room temperature. Room temperature, huge moving target. Room temperature in LA in the summer is like 80 degrees. In England, where my friends are baking, you know, their room temperature summer is like a totally different temperature, right?
Yeah.
And in Celsius over there. That doesn't matter, but
Whole different world.
yeah, totally. I mean, I don't understand it. But and then in the winter, if we're having a cold spell, room temperature can be like 55, 58, 60 degrees, you know, if the heater's not on. And that's too cold.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So after I started to like poke holes in all of it worked, by the way. Like we tested it out and it worked. Then you start like Mythbusters is always one of my favorite shows. And you just start like asking why and like poking holes in all these little rules that we have created over time in artisanal baking. And it's like, oh, those don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Was
you
that-
get to the same point.
And was that process like liberating for you?
Yeah,
know?
I felt very high.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I exhausted my friends.
Yeah.
Many phone calls. Have you? And they were like, we're done talking about this. You should write a book about it.
There you go.
And that's
love
what
it.
happened. Yeah. Oh,
Love
thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized, though, that it is like once you release it to the world, it is, I didn't intend it to be like a hot take, but it is, I am telling you to abandon like 60 years of rule.
Okay.
Because every recipe for cookies and making cakes forever, the first line is always cream, butter, and sugar until light and fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying don't
Yeah.
do that. So people they have a lot of questions. It's a weird thing to break.
Right.
Yeah, but it is liberating once you do it twice, probably. You're like, oh, actually, this is dangerously available to me to make cookies whenever I want now.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, I can't get out of the bake sale anymore because it is. Now I know.
The dreaded bake sale.
Or like the midnight munchies cookies. It takes like 3 minutes, and then you have cookie dough.
Right. Right.
Can't deny that.
That's fascinating.
Did I just answer all of your questions?
No, not at all. No,
We're
no,
done.
no. But have you received pushback, I guess?
Yes.
You know, you were just talking about you get
yeah.
emails and stuff like that.
I get emails
you know?
every week. I'm also boring my friends by reading them the emails. Yeah, I get emails every week.
Yeah. And what are people saying?
People
you know?
are mad about stuff.
Yeah.
About saying you don't have, because it's really comfort. It's comfort level stuff. It's like,
Sure.
I took it too far. I didn't take it far enough. And there's an expectation that when you have like not groundbreaking, but like a hot take about something, it's supposed to be perfect the first time you try it. But anytime you try something new, you know, there's a learning curve. It just people pushing back on it. People, you know, I say the art of a simple bake on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that most of the recipes in here are very simple in nature. And by that, I mean, you could access them easily. There are more complicated recipes as well, especially in the pie section, just because making a pie is like a balance of liquid and solid and time and temperature that is more complicated than a cookie.
Sure.
But just because you're making something simple doesn't mean that it has to be traditional. And so there are some flavors. There's chopping chocolate bars. There's a bunch of chocolate chip cookie recipes in the front, and they're all very different. But in order to get a bunch of different chocolate chip cookie recipes, you're going to have to add some things. Like one of them has chicory powder in it. You could do espresso powder if you wanted. Chop chocolate by hand instead of using chocolate chips. Someone was mad that I didn't say he could use chocolate chips. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't give you permission.
Are you responding to these?
I respond to everyone.
Okay, so if
I
you gotta
respond to
complain, Nicole,
everyone. Don't
that's a
email
direct
me.
line.
Don't
Okay.
email me. Don't.
What about an Instagram DM?
I talk to my
Is that-
therapist about it every
Okay.
week.
Okay.
No, don't. My husband does our social media. He just sends your DM to me,
Okay.
and then I'm like,
Okay.
"Why?"
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay. All right.
No, I read it, and then I wait an hour.
You have a whole method.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait an hour.
Yeah.
Then I answer the question.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a lot of feedback.
I like it.
It's mostly good.
Are you
we're
still
joking
getting a
about
lot
it.
of feedback?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I like being in the zeitgeist. It's
Right.
cool.
Right.
Yeah. If no one was talking about it, it would be bad.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
right?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's just when you say stop creaming butter and sugar and you say no, you don't make pie dough in a food processor. I think that might be the worst life hack that whoever on the Food Network brought to our tables. I do not like that method. I'd rather you crush it with your feet before putting it in the food processor with a blade. When you say things like that, people are going to have things to say, and that's okay. It's
So-
good. It's a conversation.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the pie crust
Yeah, we
process
should talk
in
about
this
that.
book a
Yeah.
little bit. Walk us through it. What is it like?
You put all the stuff in the stand mixer and you turn it on low, and then you pour the liquid in,
Okay.
and then it's done.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. But the reason, it's, so, human beings, we're hot inside. It's like body temperature. And you're like, everyone talks about making pie dough and it melting in their hands. It's like,
Right.
Your hands are hot. And that pastry chefs used to they used to have that lore about sushi chefs not being able to be female because they had hot hands. Like our body temperature is a little higher. Pastry chefs used to feel your hands in school, I heard, and to see if you had hot hands, you couldn't work with chocolate. It's it's a thing.
Yeah.
But when you're making pie dough, yeah, you can melt stuff with your body heat. Of course you can. And what that does is it allows the butter to kind of start to melt early, which makes things greasy and makes things chewy. And all of these things happen because butter, fat, is an emulsion. And when it changes form, it changes the emulsion. So when butter is cold, it's at its ideal emulsion stage, right? And if it melts a little bit and then chills again, the emulsion has already been broken. So it just doesn't act the same. The water is in a different place, the fat is in a different place, and those two are not in the same party anymore. So the texture of whatever it touches is going to be different. So when you make pie dough in a mixer, the lore about making pie dough has always been everything has to be cold. You have to freeze your bowl, you got to freeze your flour, you got to freeze your butter. Don't breathe too much. Try not to be on your period because you're going to be too hot.
Okay.
And only do it between the hours of 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. so that it's coldest in your kitchen. There's all these things that they say, like the grandma's hands rules, right? Don't touch it too much. Don't look at it too much. Which has resulted in a lot of very bad pie dough.
Yeah.
And also made a lot of people scared to make pie dough. And so when you do it this way, which is you put it all in the stand mixer and you turn it on, the temperature stays near the same. It's nice and cold. The texture is proper. The right amount of gluten has developed because you don't have to worry about how strong you are or not strong when you're kneading stuff. There's no kneading involved, which you've made bread before, so you know the action of kneading is what creates the gluten. And pie dough is structurally gluten wrapped around butter. And then when you make something flaky, you have to have a little piece of butter in order to create evaporation in the oven, and that makes a flake, like croissants. So if the butter has gotten too hot, you're not going to have the flake, and it's going to be dense and maybe too chewy because it might have been overworked. And these are the things that when you're teaching people how to make pie dough and trying to encourage them are the things that hold them back. And so I wanted to eliminate that because I just called BS on it by just putting it in the mixer. Like, you can do it. It's totally fine. The reason I don't like a blade is because it cuts things into pieces rather than rubbing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do it in the stand mixer, you're kind of replicating the act of the first step of making pie dough, which is rubbing the fat into the flour.
Mm-hmm.
And when you rub the fat into the flour, it coats the flour granule with fat, which limits the amount of liquid that can enter the grain. And that limits the amount of gluten that can be formed later when you get it moving in action. You're rolling, you're mixing. So you have to coat it. And when you're doing it with a blade, you're not coating it, you're slicing it. And it's not the same thing. So that's why I don't do it that way. I'm sorry, this is like so much information.
I think that's why people are
It's
here, though.
too
They wanna-
much.
No,
It's
no.
much simpler if you just do the recipe.
Right.
It's like
But
purposefully.
you're giving the background.
Yeah,
you know?
this is the backstory. This is the behind the scenes. This is the thing that I see when I sleep. How to talk about that
Sure.
with my therapist.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can move on from pie crust then.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm sure you have more to
Sorry,
say.
you're
but-
bored with pie crust.
No, please. I want to talk about a little bit about seasonality, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like in your first book, you went really hard on the fruit, and everything. I mean that.
Still go hard on the fruit.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. But I mean, in a way, when I think about that first book, I think like this is a book
Yeah.
written by somebody who understands fruit and really, wants to encapsulate the importance of it and what have you. So talk a little bit about seasonality in fruits, how it factors in. And then, I'd like to get into strawberries and peaches and all of that after that too.
Okay. Well, I still believe in seasonality, but I also believe in having fun. And so sometimes you want to make a pie, a blueberry pie for your best friend's birthday, and it's like December. So like maybe you just use frozen blueberries. Like it's good as long as you know how to treat it. So I try not to worry so much about that stuff. But that being said, when stuff is the best and at its peak, I try to use it as much as I can. So I have some non-negotiables. Unless I'm making a smoothie, I'm not going to use a frozen strawberry. I'm always going to use fresh strawberry when it's the best. I feel similarly about peaches. I think fresh peaches and nectarines are best when they're, out of the hand. They're like fresh, rather than frozen. But I also really like frozen apples for making pie, because one of the biggest things about making apple pie is the range of apples that people choose at the store. So, and all year long, people think of apples as like a forever fruit, like it's available all year long. Just because it's like alive at some point and on your shelf doesn't mean that it's like necessarily grown within the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. But if you can get like a frozen apple slice, it's like fresh, chopped up, frozen. And it also has this magical ability to, when it thaws, the cell wall is broken and all the water comes out of it, which makes the texture of it really good. And it eliminates the part of apple pie, which is arguably the worst part, which is that you're either eating crunchy-ish apples or you're eating like super soggy, wet.
Mushy, yeah.
Because there's not enough liquid has evaporated. So I don't know, like fruit is so fun and weird, and we're lucky that we live in California, and we should use as much of it as we can. And I love it. Yeah.
Talk about your peaches though.
You want okay.
Yeah.
So every year for a couple of years now, I can't remember, I think it's like 5 or 6, maybe more, we sponsor a tree at Masimoto Farms in Fresno. And then we go up there when the peaches are ripe and we pick them ourselves and get to hang out on the farm for the day and pick our peaches. And it usually happens 2 weekends in a row. And then we bring them back to LA and we make a bunch of peach stuff.
How many peaches usually do you yield from that?
It's like 500 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
And
a
then
lot of peaches.
How do you transport them back? You just put them
I
in
have
your
a
car?
RAV4 and
Okay.
I drive it down the freeway.
Okay.
It's a lot of dust. There's a lot of dust.
Yeah.
There's spiders in my car after forever. I
Yeah.
mean, there's always a little spider in there. I see him when I'm driving. Hey.
Sure.
And ants.
Ants and spiders.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We vacuum it. They're gone afterwards, but they
Sure.
just live there. They're on the tree. It's
Yeah.
really fun. It's a really fun way to like capture the season. It's open to anyone. You have to pay. You have to apply to this adoption. Every year they announce it usually in February. You write them an essay. You need to have like 6 friends in order to do this because, no, literally you have to have 6 people. Because you need that many people to like accomplish the picking in a timely manner and also to eat all the fruit. So they say 6 is the magic number. And it's really cool. And you're supporting a California farm that has been in the family's hands since a long time. And they're wonderful people. They're so
Yeah.
great. They actually wrote a book this year, a children's book. That's really cute. If anyone's in the market for a fun summer gift for a birthday, the Masamotos have a beautiful book about peaches.
Ooh.
That's for kids. It's really cute. With good
Okay.
illustrations.
I'm sure it's available at Now Serving.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to walk up to a tree that's full of glowing fruit. It's very romantic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Save the romance for that. I don't have to be romantic when I'm making pie dough anymore.
Okay.
Save it for that stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So one thing I want to ask you about.
Is it bad?
No. You are, like myself, and many other people I know, an avid Diet Coke
Love
fan,
Diet Coke.
right?
Yes.
I think we were just talking, Siobhan from James Beard, she said people refer to them as
Fridge cigarettes.
fridge cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never smoked a cigarette, so I don't really know what that reference
Right,
is.
right.
But yeah, it's a fridge cigarette now these days. Gen Z.
Now, I remember a few months ago you were talking about on your Instagram stories if you were going to make your own Diet Coke.
What?
Did you not?
Make my own Diet Coke?
I thought so. Did
No.
I misremember this?
Yeah, I would never try and I don't have a chemical engineering degree.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Well,
I would never make
mind
my
then.
own Diet Coke.
Okay.
How would you even do that? Can you even legally buy aspartame?
That sounds like a Nicole Rucker question to me.
I
as
don't know
far as
how that would be
goes, so-
accomplished. I mean, I love a challenge, but no. Why mess with perfection?
Okay.
I wouldn't do
All right.
that. I did recently I don't drink alcohol very often, so people like to charge you $16 for like a fruity beverage when you go out with your friends. But
Yeah.
I did recently make up a cocktail with Diet Coke at my house, which is pretty good. I got Portland Syrup Company Meyer lemon syrup, and I put just a tablespoon of it in a Diet Coke over ice with a lime, and it's so good.
Okay.
It's like a fridge cigarette, I guess. But I can only drink a mini can. I can't have a whole can. I have a lot of rules. It shouldn't be from a plastic bottle. Like, is Coke sponsoring this?
Not yet, but maybe we can work something out.
I
So
don't
no
think
mini
so.
cans, you said.
I love mini
You
cans.
love a mini
That's
can.
the perfect amount of carbonation and soda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But no plastic bottles.
No.
Um,
Tastes terrible.
a regular can you're okay with?
It's too much for me.
Okay.
I never finish it.
Okay.
I feel bad. Wasteful.
But then when you were in Europe,
They don't
earlier
have
this-
Diet Coke.
They have the light though, right?
They didn't have it in all of France. They only
okay.
had Coke Zero.
Because they have the glass bottles too.
That
as
sounds
well,
nice for
so-
them, but they don't have Diet Coke in it.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
I looked,
No. That's okay.
and they don't even have ice.
That's true. They barely have air conditioning.
Yeah,
most
what
of
are
the
you
time,
drink a
right?
warm Diet Coke? Have you ever tried that?
Yes, I have.
And
I
it's
hate to
not
say
good.
it, yeah.
It's really. I actually heard that when you drink Diet Coke warm, the aspartame causes cancer faster. So don't do that
Man,
when it's heated.
You're-
That's not real.
you're
Don't.
You're scaring me a lot today.
That's not
Yeah.
a real thing. It
Okay.
was an internet rumor. It's not real.
Okay. Well, since you've demystified my.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Can we move on to the concept of the little treat? That's something you've been talking
yes.
about lately.
Yeah.
Tell us about this idea of a little treat.
Have you noticed that now when you go to like a cafe or a coffee shop, there's no longer an array of packaged little treats on the counter? When did we lose touch with that? And I want to go back to the time when you could frivolously spend an extra $15 at the register on a little treat. I just went to France. They're the masters of it.
Oh yeah.
They got little cookies in a bag. You already bought a fresh cookie. That's for now. Bag of cookies is for later, 9:00 at night,
Yeah.
right? You're thinking of yourself, right? Or maybe you brought it to a dinner, whatever it is. I just really it's also good from a business perspective to have a fully fleshed out, merchandising plan. And from a baking perspective, those little cookies that are shelf stable, like shortbread, or a little bag of, granola clusters, or you can buy some little chocolate bars, like anything that raises the ticket average if you own a business is good. Do it. Right? You don't have to buy it every time, but isn't it nice when it's there when you need it?
Definitely.
Yeah. The gas station does it great. They got chips. They have all kinds of little snacks. They know how to make money. They're still in business.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah. So it doesn't even have to be fancy. It just has to be something little.
Can we find little treats at Fat and Flour?
We have so many.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites that you're offering?
I
right
don't
now?
even have to make them all.
Okay.
I like, we have so many good, we have chips, we have a bunch of different candies, we have caramels, we have chocolate bars from Wildwood, we have a great Spanish company that makes these beautiful chocolate bars. They're massive with Marcona almonds in them. Sometimes we have a little peanut butter cookie that's vegan from my favorite peanut butter company.
What is that peanut butter company called?
One
again?
Trick Pony.
That's
They're
right.
so good.
Okay. You sell the peanut butter too, don't you?
I sell the peanut butter,
Yeah.
and I buy their cookies and sell them, which some people think is weird, but I like them. They're good. Okay. What do we have? Meat sticks.
Sure.
Zab's Hot Sauce makes a meat stick with this company, and they're divine.
I'm gonna need to try that.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's like a chomp bar, but smokier, and it's great. It's spicy. All of those little things.
Okay.
Bag some nuts and
so
put
a
a
little
bow
treat,
on it.
See, a little treat doesn't need to be sweet per se, right?
If more people had like individual servings of cheese, my life would be better.
Yeah.
Like those individual packaged little, like they have Dubliner, Kerrygold.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's hard to find in like a cafe, I realize, but like a little savory treat, some nuts. I don't know. I just think you should have these little things, and then you just buy a little bag of something. It's just easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. People were mad at me. They thought I was like dissing on shops for posting that. But then a couple people were like, I just opened a bakery in Portland and I don't quite understand what a little treat is. And I'm like, well, here's a list.
Yeah.
These are all things.
A little treat is relative to every person, right? It is
I
what
think
you make
so. It is, yeah. You could just buy an extra cookie for later. I have a very good customer who's in the audience who often buys multiple cookies and then bags them for later. Has his now cookies and then his later cookies.
Yeah.
And I don't think about him eating 4-day-old cookies. I just let it happen.
Sure.
But that's, like a brownie's a perfect thing to eat for later.
Yeah.
Because you could put it in the fridge.
Good to know.
It's just a good thing to have.
Okay. All right.
Do you what are your favorite little treats that you would buy impulse? It's an impulse buy, let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good impulse buy. I feel like these people are getting ignored.
Yeah.
Direct it this way for the rest.
Sure. I would probably go with like a piece of chocolate or something like that, usually if I'm getting a little treat, I'm buying it for my wife, and I'm taking that back to her.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah.
Do you buy one and eat it in the car and pretend like you didn't buy it?
Maybe I might, I might.
Probably a good idea.
Or I'll buy two,
But you don't talk about that when you just bring the one for your wife home.
Exactly.
I got you this.
Yeah, totally.
Actually
totally.
got two.
Well,
but
no,
I
if I'm visiting Fat and Flour, I had like a
Yeah.
sandwich and a
A
brownie,
bunch of things.
and then I'm like, here's a chocolate for you.
Oh, that's nice of
She's
you.
in the audience as
Yeah.
well, so
She deserves that. She
my whole
deserves
plan's
it.
foiled. She does.
Yeah.
She does. So one last question that I have right now, and we kind of started off talking about opening up Fat and Flour at Grand Central Market.
Yes.
How are things today at Fat
Oh.
and Flour?
We ride the wave. It's interesting being on opposite ends of the city. There's definitely different economies at play. Downtown is, in the thick of a lot of what's been going on in the last couple of weeks. The fires affected both sides of the city in the same way. But yeah, we're still just riding the wave. We're still making pie. We're still there, and people should come. And summer is here. I am interested to see what happens this summer versus last summer, because it seemed like a lot more people went on big vacations last summer, and this summer maybe not as much. So that could be good for business, because it means more people are staying local, and you got to figure out something to do with your kids.
Yeah.
They like to eat tacos and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Go to Grand Central Market, get some
Yeah.
tacos.
Or buy a cookbook and
Bake at home.
bake some stuff out of
Go
it.
to a local store and buy a cookbook, and also get tacos and a little treat.
Yeah. Make a whole day out of it.
And then go to Sprouts and get the ingredients and make the stuff from the
Yeah.
cookbook.
A Diet Coke cocktail too. while you're at
Do
it.
not feed your children Diet Coke, though. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's interesting. LA is an interesting place. Does anyone else feel like we're just really getting the brunt of a lot of stuff the last couple of years? It's hard to relate to the rest of the country sometimes.
Yeah.
Everyone has their problems, but we have
Sure.
been through it. And the beautiful part about that is what it ends up doing to the people of LA, which is that people open up a little bit more every time, which I've noticed. Like in customer interactions, you notice people open up a little bit more, something big happens. And so maybe we're turning into like a bunch of hippies at some point.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Everybody likes treats, so
It's true.
stay open, treat yourself,
Yeah.
and enjoy. We had perfect weather today.
We did. Let's hope for more of that.
Yeah.
So those were all my questions. I think we have some time for Q&A
Oh,
as far
wow.
as that goes. Got a hand up
I love
already.
I love
right
a
here.
first in question.
Oh, we got a mic coming
You have a
around.
mic.
Hold on.
You're
Hold
gonna
on.
speak on a
Hold
mic.
on, not that fast.
I have a loud voice too. You have like the best scones I've
Oh,
ever
thank you so
had.
much.
What I don't know. Do you do anything different? I've never really attempted making scones before,
Oh,
but I've
they're
never
very
tried
easy.
them. I don't know. You just do a really good job.
Thank you so much. We do use it's like a broken record. We mix it in the stand mixer. Yeah. Everything stays cold. We put it all in the stand mixer, and I'll be honest with you. I think our scone recipe is heavily based on the original Tartine Book 1 scone recipe. There was a time when everyone based all of their recipes off that book when it came out, because those were remarkable scones when that kind of came on the scene. So I think I don't have a recipe published of our scone recipe now, but that would be the closest thing to it. And then I would make it in a stand mixer and follow that recipe. It's a very, very good recipe. And I think it's online. I know that book is out of print, but maybe you can find a used version. It's such a good book if you don't have it. There's a lot of good recipes in there.
Libraries might have it too.
Oh yeah, the library. That's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tartine, Book 1.
The first
Yeah, the
one.
first book. I think it came out in 2006.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's the square-shaped one. But she did do a reissue of that book in the last 5 years. I don't know if the scone recipe's in it. So maybe you could get the new version and check it out at Out Serving. Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Got a question over here.
You have to give it back. You can't keep it.
I know you had mentioned that you put the brownies in the fridge
Yes.
so that you can get more of a chewy texture. Is that correct?
Yes.
I was wondering if you could do the same with a chocolate chip cookie.
Yes.
And you would get a chewy texture with that,
Yes.
get the same result?
Yes.
Okay.
I advocate in the cookie section, which there are many recipes. I think when you bake cookies, you should keep them in your fridge after they're baked and then put them in the microwave for 10 seconds when you're ready to eat them. Then you will have something. I love microwaves.
You're very pro microwave.
I'm pro, call me David Chang. I
Yeah.
love a microwave. Yeah, they're good. And 10 seconds in the microwave brings them back to roomish temperature, but not stale. It's a good move. I like to keep them in the fridge. It keeps them fresh for longer. If you ever have to bake a ton of cookies, like if you decide to take on a cookie box project for Christmas because you like to punish yourself, you should just make all the cookies in days and put them all in the fridge. And then you can box them up and it'll be just like you just made them. Yeah, like if you go to like a wedding or something and they have a bunch of cookies, those were not made that morning. They were in the fridge. Yep, we won't gatekeep that secret. Hello.
There's the expression, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. What did you learn, or an example of something you learned from the Fairfax experience that you could apply to fat and flour
What did I learn from what? I'm sorry, you weren't.
from the Fairfax experiment?
Oh, you know what I learned is that I shouldn't be afraid to be good at something that's simple. And that sometimes being really good at something that's simple is a way that you can find a way into people's hearts and their minds. I think with that project, I wanted to do a lot of things and I wanted it to be really special, but I was really averse to making pie because I didn't want it to be just a pie shop. I didn't want to be just a pie baker. But with the loss of that restaurant and then the review that Bill Addison wrote about the pie being the star of the show, I realized I had shot myself in the foot by not making it a pie shop. And that just being a pie baker is a skill that I have, that I'm very good at it, and it should be something that I should be proud of, and that's good. I'm never going to be a pastry chef. In fact, people call me pastry chef often, and I'm like, I'm a baker. I didn't go to culinary school, and it's totally okay. I went to art school. I have an artist's mind, and I make pie, and it's simple, and I like it, and that's that. And it's cool. And a lot of people can't make good pie, so I'm on top. I'm doing all right. Yeah, that's what I learned. Thank you.
One more question.
You mentioned you went to art school, and I think your books are so beautiful, the way
Thank
they're
you.
shot, the fonts. Who is your inspiration?
Oh, I get inspiration from a lot of places. For this book, definitely Wayne Thiebaud was a big inspiration. We use a lot of Bauer pottery in the book. I love the colors from Bauer. They're local. The fonts were lovingly chosen by my husband, who has a file with my name on it and keeps track of all my fonts in there. He also contributed a lot to the design of the book and helped them design the cover. I like vintage signs. I like really simple painting like Wayne Thiebaud did, and beautiful colors, and California, and I get inspiration from all over the place. Yeah, songs, like I was really when I was making the cherry pie recipe, I was really stuck on that one Cocteau Twins song, the Cherry Colored Funk. I love that song so much. I listen to it a lot. I often listen to the same song over and over again until it's exhausted. And by that, I mean literally 100 times when I'm like thinking about something, music. But yeah, I don't, recently I've been coloring in coloring books. So I don't, it comes from everywhere. I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I dreamt about a scone, and then I make it. It's all the time, all around me. I don't know. Yeah. Alliteration also is a big inspiration.
Fat and flour.
Fat and flour. When I did the pie for KCRW contest, I did. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes. We can acknowledge their existence.
It's good. Good. When Jonathan Gold chose me to be the best in show, it was for pork and peas pie, which is totally the reason I made it, was because of alliteration.
Oh.
I thought it sounded good, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a fun way to say it. So I don't know, all over the place. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Well, I think.
Wait, we didn't let anyone over here have a question.
Oh, how
Yeah.
about? Oh, okay.
Yes. You could definitely try. You can definitely try. We didn't talk about vegan baking at all, which is interesting. There's a lot of vegan recipes in there. I don't know. I haven't done the test on what the exact version is, but it's hard because vegan fats are different. So you could. I think you should experiment and update me and just be. Yeah. Yes, 1 egg. Regular butter is the easiest swap ever. Yeah, it's the egg part that might be a question. Yeah, give it a try. You're welcome.
We have one more question over
Okay,
here.
one more.
What is your opinion on freezing stuff after you bake it?
Oh, what kind of stuff? I love freezing things in general. I love freezing brownies. I love freezing cookies. Frozen cake, divine. Frozen pumpkin pie, terrible. Frozen pie dough, great. It depends. It's situational. Freezing fruit, also great, but you have to know that when you unfreeze it, it's going to be soggy, saggy because it's broken. Yeah, lots of things. Freezers are magical. Freezing cream cheese might be a bad idea. It like kind of gets wet afterwards. It really depends on what it is. But yeah. Put it in the freezer. Why not? Frozen key lime pie, strangely excellent. Frozen. It's good. Did you have a question too?
Yes. Thank you for being a delightful human.
Oh, that's very sweet.
I like you, but you might not like me because I do not drink Diet Coke, own a microwave, or have a stand mixer.
You're good. Don't worry.
And
You're
my
going to get there
question-
eventually. Wow.
Get out.
I was that person once too, and now I've just fully given over.
Security.
Yeah.
My question is about butter. So
Yeah.
not having a microwave means that if I'm good, I've let it sit on the fridge, on the counter to come to room temperature. Otherwise, I'm kind of bad, and I just put it in the toaster oven for a minute and let it get soft. How far is too far? And tell me about butter.
Oh man, I mean, you asked like a PhD level question at the end. Well, the book that I just wrote is all about using cold butter, most of it. So you don't ever have to bring the butter to room temperature unless you're making one specific recipe, which is peanut butter filling for a cookie, and then you have to cream it. It's the only creaming recipe. So like I mentioned earlier, if you take it too far, it melts, and then melting it, it'll never be the same. So you either use the butter melted in a recipe that calls for melted butter, or you use the butter cold in the recipe where it calls for it cold, and stick to that for the best results. Life happens, so if the butter is slightly softer, like it's going to be okay. But part of the reason why cold butter method is because we don't have to ask that question. We just make it. It's cold from the fridge. You don't have to worry about leaving it out or leaving it in the toaster oven for too long, or pouring boiling water in a glass cup and putting it over the stick on the plate and waiting 5 minutes and then taking it off, or like any of these tricks that people post about on the internet in order to soften butter quicker. You don't have to do that. So that's why it's cold butter. There are some recipes in there that call for melted butter to make cookies, and that's specifically for a certain texture, because when you melt stuff and use it, it changes the texture. It makes it slightly chewier and could also make it crunchy because you're taking the water out, and that it changes the chemical, the makeup of everything, because you need a little water and stuff. Like when you brown butter, you can't just like swap out browned butter for regular butter 1-to-1 because you've eliminated all the water. It's a lot. Butter is weird, but so great. Isn't it so good? So
is.
yeah, just follow the recipe. You can use a hand mixer. I don't actually have a stand mixer at my house. I have a hand mixer and I have my hands. So if I make cold butter method cookies at my house, I chop it up with like a knife and I go like that. And then I mix it together. So I'm sort of like you.
Okay, I think
That's it.
that's all the time we have.
We could talk about that forever though. Thank you.
Thank you to Nicole.
Thank you for coming.
There's brownies from the cooking demo outside,
Yeah.
and some little
Cookies.
bites and
And some
cookies.
Ferrazani's cookies.
And some Ferrazini's cookies. Thank you to Ferrazini for coming today. Thank you all for
Yeah.
coming today.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Now Serving.
We'll see you in a bit. Thank you to Now Serving.
Thank you, James
Please buy
Beard.
Nicole's book. Please
Yeah.
support independent businesses, independent media.
I can sign it too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
okay.
definitely.